Hey friend, good morning. Welcome to another daily devotional. These devotionals are meant to encourage, inspire you, and give you hope for the rest of your week, the rest of your day. And if you are new around here, I'm McKenna. I'm so honored that you are here. If you are not new around here, welcome on back, friend. I'm so just blessed and thankful that I get to spend a little bit of time with you guys in your mornings and in your times with the Lord. And so I just pray this morning that you get every single thing that God has for you today, that He wants to speak specifically to you. So go ahead, clear some space in your heart, shut off all the distractions for the next 10-15 minutes here, and really just kind of clear space in your heart and listen in, because I really pray that God will speak to each and every one of you in such a unique way that you need this morning. And so go ahead, cozy on up, maybe grab a coffee, maybe grab a tea, a blanket, a journal, whatever you like to do in the mornings, and let's go ahead and dig in. Okay, so I want to start off by reading you a verse. It is in Matthew chapter 11, and it's verse 28 through 30. It's such a powerful verse, and I just think that each and every one of us honestly need this reminder just from time and time again, because this is life, and things get hard and things get messy, and I think this is a really beautiful reminder that we could all use. So if you have your Bible, open up Matthew chapter 11, and it is verse 28. So I'm going to read it first out of the Message version, and then I also have the Amplified version, and I just love how they word it and frame it, and I think that they're both really beautiful. So I wanted to read you both. So we'll start off in the Message, and this says, "Are you tired, worn out, burned out on religion? Come to me, get away with me, and you'll recover your life. I'll show you how to take a real rest. Walk with me and work with me. Watch how I do it. Learn the unforced rhythms of grace." I love that so much. "I won't lay anything heavy or ill-fitting on you. Keep company with me, and you'll learn to live freely and lightly." This is where we all just take a deep breath and realize this is what God has for us. And so, I just love that. Okay, I'm going to read it in the Amplified version because it's just that good. So it says, "Come to me, all who are weary and heavily burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls." Oh my goodness, I just love this verse so much. I think probably my favorite way that they say it is in the Message. I just think it's so beautiful. But gosh, who doesn't need to learn those unforced rhythms of grace? And we do that by following the Lord, by walking with the Holy Spirit and being in relationship with Him and letting Him teach us and comfort us and counsel us and mold us into something beautiful. And so I just love that verse so, so much. And it really reminded me of this podcast that I actually listened to recently this week. And I started listening to it again because I really found it that valuable that I told my husband, I'm like, you've got to listen to this podcast. It is incredible. If you are seeing this devotional in Happy Mail, I'll already have it linked for you in there. And if you're not looking at this devotional from my Monday newsletter, then it'll be in the description box on YouTube down below this video. And so I'm going to link it for you because I would love for you to listen in on this podcast and even just come back in the comments here and let's talk about it, because it was so good and so powerful. And so I'm actually going to be pulling a lot of information from that podcast because I found it just that valuable that I had to share it with my YouTube fam. It's a podcast from Havla Cunnington, and she was interviewing somebody, and he used this incredibly brilliant analogy of kind of walking day-to-day life, but wearing this backpack. So if you think about it, we all have our different roles of responsibility. You might find yourself today, and maybe you are a student in school. Maybe you are a mama of little kids. Maybe you are a grandma. Maybe you are running a business. You're a wife, you're a sister, you're a friend. We just all have different roles that we are all kind of walking through and fulfilling in life, right? And so he was saying how we each have our own certain weight of responsibility. So if you envision a backpack, maybe my weight as being a mom, being a wife, running this YouTube deal, running kind of my things on business, that could equal, let's say, 30 pounds. So I'm carrying 30 pounds in my backpack on a day-to-day basis that is constant. That's not changing. That's just what life requires of me right now. And he was saying how you should be able to walk through life carrying your backpack with the weight that you're supposed to be carrying. And you should be able to do that with this sense of ease and just kind of grace and flow to your day. And you should be able to carry that weight. Obviously there's going to be hard moments, but you should be able to carry that weight, no problem. You should be able to walk around 30 pounds in the backpack and you're good. And he was saying, what happens oftentimes is that there's things that we have put into our backpacks, or maybe we're walking through a really hard life circumstance. Maybe that's adding 20 pounds into your backpack or 40 pounds into your backpack. And he was saying how, we can, as humans, we can carry larger weights for a certain amount of time. But then after that time, if we don't, have a way to offload that extra weight, then we become weighted down, we become tired and weary, and that makes us as humans, filled with anxiety. It could trigger depression. It could just make us feel irritable or emotional or angry or whatever it is. And so he was saying, when we are walking through a hard thing in life, let's say, for instance, it's a past thing. Maybe it's childhood. Maybe we have really negative self-talk and we're constantly talking down to ourselves, and that's hard. Maybe it is, shame or regret from the past. He was saying that when we don't deal with those things, then now we're carrying not just my regular 30 pounds of weight, but now let's say I'm also carrying 40 pounds of really heavy feelings from the past. And so they were saying when life throws us something new, that can kind of be the thing that might throw us over the edge. So when we're walking through something like that, where we know we're carrying extra weight from past struggles, that's something that you're going to really want to dive into healing for. And I'll talk about that in a little bit on a deeper level, but being able to heal from those things. And that way, when, let's say, there's a new life circumstance or something else, maybe a transition, transition at work, or maybe you're gonna have a baby, or just all the different things that we can walk in that are new. That way that we are not so weighted down and so already irritable that when something new comes our way, we are able to handle it as a little bit of extra weight for a while. Because like I said, you can carry extra weight for a certain amount of time, but when it's prolonged and we haven't offloaded that weight after a while, it can really take its toll on us. And one of the really, really powerful little nuggets of wisdom that I found in that podcast was he was saying a good friend does not always equal a good guide. And so he was saying whenever you're having an issue, maybe you're coming up, coming up against problems with one of your kids, or you're running into issues in your marriage, or somebody has really not treated you right at your workspace and it's repetitive. When you're coming up into new things like that, that requires more of you, that requires more attention, more energy. He was saying that the number one thing that we want to do is find a guide, find an expert in that certain area that we can come to and offload this extra weight. And we can really start to implement new processes, new kind of game plans that will help us in walking through whatever circumstance that might be. So he was saying, which I loved this so much, he was saying, a great friend or a best friend is not always a great guide. And just because you're really close with somebody, they might not necessarily be an expert in what you're needing help with. So for instance, if I'm having troubles in my marriage, let's say, maybe my best friend that is single or herself is newly married, even though she's maybe really, really an amazing person, that doesn't necessarily mean that she's going to be an expert in marriage. And so he was saying, make sure that when you are walking through hard things like this, that you're finding an expert or a guide in this area of somebody who has walked through something similar. They have studied it, they have gone through it and come out victoriously. And so you want to find people that can really help to offload that weight for you. So finding a guide and knowing that it might not be your best friend, that could be a counselor, that could be a pastor, that could be a leader in your life. Or, if you are really struggling to find an expert in the certain topic that you are walking through right now, I would just even suggest start with a book, start with learning all that you can about, what it is that you need to learn to be able to get through the season that is requiring extra energy of you. Going back to Jesus, and that's always my first place is, okay, God loves community. He created us to be in community. And so he's always my first go-to when I am up against something hard, is, okay, God, connect me with the right person. Show me, show me who the right expert would be in this area. Show me the guide that I need to connect with. And when we are, walking relationally with the Lord, that's just a really beautiful thing, because God is God. He has all the resources that we could ever need. He knows the people that we need to be in contact with, or we need to know, or whoever it is that could really aid in our healing. And so just connecting with God about this and letting him be your first go-to. And it's not a sign of weakness. I just want to scream this from the rooftops, that finding help is not a sign of weakness. I heard a statistic, I think it might have been in Havla's podcast, I'm not sure if it was this one, but just that the smartest people in life do not do things on their own. They learn and learn from other people, other resources. And so just knowing getting help and asking for help is not a sign of weakness. It's actually such a sign of strength and of vulnerability to be able to say, I don't know how to do this and I really need help. That requires so much courage and braveness and boldness in your heart to be able to say, I don't know how to do this or how to navigate this season well. And I think that's what, the Lord really wants for us, for each and every one of us, is to be able to navigate the season that we're in well, to be able to steward what we have well. And so often, pretty much in every space, every season of life, we're going to need to find somebody that has done that season well and has, really pressed into the Lord, or really studied the topic that we need help in, and asking for their mentorship. And even just to have a standard of, I am not okay with not doing this well, and I really want to be able to do it well, so somebody come in and help me. And just knowing it might not be a friend, and that's okay. The last little nugget that I thought was so valuable, because I think sometimes, we can be wading through a variety of different issues, and it's kind of like, okay, well, where do we start, And so they were saying, I think it was in this podcast, I'm almost positive, but he was saying that an EMT, for example, someone that you would call 911, the person that's going to come to the rescue the very first few minutes, that their job is to find the most traumatic injury and take care of that first, and then kind of work backwards. So they were saying, if you've got, a broken femur or broken leg, they're not going to worry about your broken pinky at that time. They're going to fix up the leg, and then they'll get to the other thing. So I think that was a really wise piece of advice too, because it can often just feel really overwhelming to just look at the things that you need help in. And like, everyone has issues. Everyone has things that they're working through. I can think of things in my own life that I'm like, okay, this is an issue. This is an issue. This is an issue. Where do we even start? And it can be a little bit overwhelming. And so I think just in that kind of how that example stated, going after the thing that was, the most traumatic, or the thing that is causing you the most anxiety, the thing that is making you the most irritable, going after that first, and then working your way backwards until it's, less and less and less. I thought that was a really awesome piece of advice, and just made it so that we can work on one thing at a time and not be overwhelmed by the issues that are at hand. So I just want to encourage you this morning that God is so with you, and he is so for you. And just like this verse says, you'll learn to live freely and lightly when you keep company with him. And so I just want to encourage you this morning that wherever you find yourself, whether you're in a good place or whether you're in a hard place, there's always something that we can work on and dive deeper into. And so this morning I would just ask you, challenge you to have a little bit of time this morning. Maybe there's something that's like a bright red flashing light that you are like, yep, I know that I'm so overwhelmed, I'm so irritable right now. Or maybe you might have to dig a little bit deeper, but wherever you find yourself this morning, just know that God so cares, and that he wants healing for you, and he wants wholeness and freedom. I'm going to link this podcast down below, and just listen to it, because I know you'll be so encouraged, and they really take that topic a lot deeper than even I did in this YouTube video. And so just be encouraged this morning that we're humans. We all have issues. We've all got stuff that we're working through. But the strong ones and the brave ones do not run from healing, but they dive head in and know that the Lord's with them. And so just be encouraged that God is with you. You don't have to run from healing. You don't have to run from the hard things necessarily. But when you're hand in hand with Jesus, He has this way of making things light. So go ahead and check your backpack, see if there are things in there that maybe shouldn't be in there this morning, and ask God which one He wants to tackle with you first. And I think when we can walk through life with the weight in our backpack that we're supposed to be carrying, then when hard things do come up, we are equipped, we're ready, and we are well able to take on those situations and take on the extra weight for the amount of time that we need to. So thank you guys so much for watching this devotional this morning. I hope that it blessed you. I hope that you find yourself encouraged and just knowing we're all walking through stuff and that God cares about every single detail of your life. And so if you guys want to be notified of when these videos go live, you can go ahead and subscribe here on YouTube. If you want notifications of uploads, you can hit the little bell notification. And if you want some happy mail in your inbox every single Monday, go ahead, go over to my website. I'll have it all linked in the description box below. It's super easy. You just enter in your name and your email and you're good to go. And I send you guys fun little resources of just inspiration and encouragement and all sorts of things into your inbox every single week. So hope you guys have an incredible rest of your day, and I'll see you guys very soon. Bye.